My name's Lindsay, and I'll be talking about the UK women's soccer pay gap. So, growing up, I always noticed that boys were always being picked over girls in sports, and especially in soccer. And I really started noticing this in elementary school when um, the divide really starts to happen. And as you can see, I have played soccer for 18 years of my life, and I have experienced inequality in all the sports I've played, but definitely in soccer just because I've played it for so long. As humans in this world, we have all experienced inequality in some way, whether it be in sports or jobs and just in daily life. And one thing that I really wanted to talk about was the significant pay gap in the UK for women. And I believe that this topic came to the national stage when England made it to the World Cup finals last year. So, the female soccer players in the UK have had to overcome several obstacles in their history. And they started off farther than the men. They've had a lot more to prove since they have been reinstated. And according to Suzanne Rack of The Guardian, women's football was thriving in the early 1900s, as you can see, but then it was banned in 1921. And for a long time, they were trying to get it reinstated. And Rack also stated that the consultative committee said that soccer was quite unsustainable for women, which I find really hard to believe. But luckily, the women were reinstated in 1971, and they they had major setbacks in this process. Also, I found that on YouTube, London Live stated that women's games, they're often not televised, so that's hard for people to become aware of these problems when they're not even able to watch the sport. And this doesn't allow for the advertisements to happen and the awareness, as I previously just said, and it's a great disadvantage to them. And in the female Euros, London Live also stated that women were placed in smaller stadiums as opposed to the men's games. As you can see in these pictures, they're significantly smaller, and that's how it always is. However, in the Euro finals, the women were able to play on a big stage in the spotlight that they deserve. And although women are getting more recognition, the stats are still mind-boggling to me, and the pay gap still must change. So according to Martins from LinkedIn, in 2023, women's soccer, they earned 27,000 to 35,000 euros, which is considerably lower than the men's. And Martins also stated that the highest paid female athlete makes less than the lowest paid men's players in the English Premier League, which is extremely shocking to me that we can't even make as much as the lowest men's player. And as you can see on here, comparing the men's and women's World Cups, that the men's got $440 million to the women's World Cup's $110 million, which I understand that attendance can be different, but that is a significantly different number. And I would also say this just doesn't apply to players, it also can apply to coaches. And in comparison between England's women's coach, who made $400,000 euros, the men's coach made 5 million euros. And although I do want to advocate for men's and women's equality, the women still have quite a significant way to go in order to prove that they deserve it. The first thing that they must do, they need to generate more attendance at games. And this is crucial because then that brings in more revenue and allows them to get paid more. And according to Harris of Sky News, the Women's Super League is only 0.5% of the Premier League's revenue each year, which that's one reason that they aren't getting enough money is because they're just not generating enough. And one thing that can help them is continuing success over the men will create strong evidence for their claims. And they have already started having success in the past 3 World Cups, finishing top 4 and getting to the finals this past year. And one thing that they can help themselves become more successful is they've only qualified for the World Cup 6 times, and the men have qualified 16. So the men can definitely come back with that stat and come at them for that. But in general, the women are starting to gain more respect every year. So in the UK world, the men and women are still getting paid notably different salaries, but in summary, the women are still very far behind in the soccer world and in getting the pay gap fixed. But this allows for a long-term goal for them. And as college students on a college campus, beware of your surroundings and observe for general inequality. I know I see it all the time, and just like this, like the men versus soccer earnings, like it is still extremely large, but we are coming back and we're gaining, as you can see, that since 2010 to 2018, we've already gained significant ground on the men.